It's Friday, June 21st, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On Barnstable Today, we ride the wave into boating season with the Harbor Master safe boating reminders, round up the kiddos and their bikes for the bike rodeo at HYCC. We end the show with a history lesson on the origins of Bismore Park. Now for a look at municipal legislative notes. Starting June 24th, Summer Eats Free Meals for Kids and Teens is a collaboration between St. Mary's Episcopal Church of Barnstable and the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Free lunch from 12 to 12:45 and free snack from 3 to 3:30 will be offered to children age 18 and younger Monday through Friday at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center, 141 Bassett Lane, Hyannis. For more information, contact Mark Boardley at 508-790-6345, extension 116. Community Problem Solving is a division of Future Problem Solving and begins in grades 4 and 5 at the Barnstable United Elementary School. Students learn research skills, collaboration, critical and creative thinking, and follow a model to solve identified problems within the community. Our Channel 18 interns Olivia Morrow and Aidan O'Connell produced this segment spotlighting some of the work these groups have accomplished in our community this school year.
Future Problem Solving is part of the Gateway program through Barnstable Public Schools, and the mission of Gateway is to support all students through talent development and to challenge and encourage students who are academically gifted and creative through their work.
My definition of a problem solver is probably someone who makes the world a better place, I guess, and solves the problems the world has.
I think a problem solver is someone who's able to think of the problem and figure out a way to solve it.
The teachers take more advanced kids and they put them in the gateways, and Future Problem Solvers is one of the gateways. And I decided to stick with it because I think it is rather fun, and I enjoy researching and making posters and fun activities with all information that we have gathered.
Being a future problem solver has definitely taught me a lot of working with a team and cooperating, but also learning and developing something without a teacher's help.
I understand the smaller problems in our community and across the whole world.
You have to understand if the problem is important to where you live and how to solve it with what you have around you. So our teacher told us that when we were researching problems on Cape Cod, Massachusetts in the US, that one that she's been researching was foster care and how some families can't help with their kids. And when we started to research it, we saw that it was a big problem, and we saw that lots of families didn't have the money and the resources to buy stuff that their babies need, like formula, wipes, and diapers. So we thought that the kids at our school could give a hand and help out.
We all decided to do whales and turtles because at the very beginning of the year, we did this idea web, and I think one of the ideas was endangered species, and so we were looking at species that were endangered, and we came across right whales and Kempster lacy turtles.
We chose this problem because it's something that we can connect to, because living on Cape Cod we do see a good amount of pipe and plovers, and we've never really thought of them as much, but after this we know that that's an endangered bird and we have to work to protect them.
We started this project about ocean pollution, and it's supposed to be so we use water bottles so they don't end up in the ocean or as a waste for animals or anything. We're using them to make gardens, and we're going to hang them outside in our school courtyard. And we're going to, kids in our pod class and in our class are going to make them.
It would also be a nice addition to the school to make it look nicer, and it's just good for the environment.
I've been just so impressed by all of the kids. They're so poised and they're so talented, and they have such drive and determination and such good hearts, and they really want to help the community in any way that they can, and they're so supportive of one another and really work well as a team, and that teamwork aspect of it is so important to them. It's really been a pleasure to see.
Being a future problem solver has helped me understand the little problems in the world that even us kids could fix with just some simple researching and making people aware of the problem.
And it makes us feel good that we can help other people, even though we're only 11.
You meet new people, like there are other people in our FPS group other than us, and we got to meet other people we'd never met before.
We would be helping the world and making the world a better planet.
Being in team is really fun, and if you get to make something that's only yours and you're probably the only one that has made it, it's really fun to know that, and you learn a lot about team effort. I really think it's been fun.
Assistant Harbor Master Brian Taylor joins us in studio with some reminders for safe boating. It's boating season. With me today, Assistant Harbor Master. Oh boy, Brian, we've got all sorts of things happening on the water, don't we?
Yeah, it's a busy time of year.
It is.
Thanks for having me today, Paula. So yeah, with the 4th of July coming up, everyone's going to be on the water. So we just ask individuals to make sure that they are operating their vessels safe. A few key points I want to go over here are the safety education certificate. So a lot of the time, individuals will be out with their children. Children do have to have a safety certificate if they're operating by themselves from the age of 12 to 15. Right. So, you know, and they can find the safety classes online. Mass.gov leads them to a lot of classes. Environmental Police put some classes on. There are other private entities that also hoist those classes. So, right. You know, we just ask individuals to keep that in mind. As well as accident reporting. So any damage to vessels over $500 needs to be reported to the Environmental Police. Okay. Even if you do the damage yourself, right. Even though it's not damage to another vessel, you need to still report that information to the Environmental Police. Okay. Safety equipment. So a big thing for us is making sure kids have life jackets on. And sometimes we pass vessels and they're like, oh, my kid can swim, you know. Well, that's not our concern whether they can swim or not. It's a safety issue. They can fall over, hit their head. Children under the age of 12 years old must have a life jacket on. So that's end all. Right. That's really our concern out there. We want to be out there for education purposes as well as enforcing the rules and regulations for the town of Barnstable and the state. But more importantly, we're out there to make sure everyone's operating safely. So that's important. Let's go over prohibited operation. Obviously, no operation under the alcohol or drugs, under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Operating a motorboat within 150 feet of a swimming area. So that's important to note. So a lot of people are fishing near the beaches, but just know you cannot operate under power within 150 feet of people swimming. Okay. So that's important to note. The other important to note is 45 miles an hour is rather excessive speed. You will say people operating at that, but the state considers it you know, speeds greater than 45 miles an hour to be negligent operation. Oh, so that's important to note as well. Motorboats need to have proper working lights, especially at night. Even if you're in a small dinghy, you need to have one white light, even if it's a flashlight, holding it up so people can see you. We have a lot of ferry traffic, a lot of recreational boating traffic. We want to make sure that you're visible at night.
Right. So and even that fog comes up really quick too.
It does.
Late afternoons.
That's right. Conditions, we're on Cape Cod. Everyone knows conditions change rather fast. So we want to make sure that everyone's following the state regulations as well as the town. Okay. So basically, another key point to go over is overloading. Overloading vessels. A lot of people want to get from the boat ramp to the beach, which we understand, and they want to load their whole family on with their coolers and all that. Well, there is a weight requirement. It's posted on the vessel on a placard, as well as a passenger on a placard. There's a passenger limit or maximum they can have. I mean, excuse me, a maximum they can have. So let's just make sure you're complying by that placard, because what we don't want is you to get swamped by a ferry, conditions change, like I said, and there be a safety issue.
Right. And every person on that boat should have a life preserver.
They should, that's correct. As well as another key thing that we see all the time is bow riding, people with their feet over on the bow.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing that. We don't want to lose limbs or life, so
Right.
let's keep all the limbs on the vessel.
Right.
So.
It's amazing how, you know, people get excited about the season and some of those things go out their head as their first trips out on their boat until something happens.
That's right.
I can't recommend that safety class high enough. I mean, it's the Coast Guard's done safety classes for kids. I went through it probably, 40-something years ago. It's a great class even for adults to refresh some of the things that they need to know out there on the water. It's been a whole season. Right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
They haven't been out there, and it's a good time to get that knowledge, even if you just hear it again, say, oh yeah, I should, really kind of enforce that on my own vessel.
That's right, and the season is short, so I think that's what happens. People are like, oh, we want to get right out on the water, but have a checklist, go through your safety equipment on your vessel first. Go through your life jackets, make sure they're in working order. Make sure that everything's together before you get on the water. Make sure your plug's in.
Right.
Let's do the best we can to make sure that when you're on the water, you're being safe. That's really our main concern.
Right, and checking the life preservers for kids, I noticed a lot of first day and last day pictures of school this week. And boy, those kids have grown fairly quickly over a year, so you might want to check the weight requirement on your life preservers for your children.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, how about that? What else do we have?
So we have the new small vessel storage decals that the MEA is selling. You can come into the Harbor Master office to obtain those. They're $25 for mooring permit holders and $50 for non-mooring permit holders. Right. And we put that small vessel decal in play to efficiently utilize the town land that we have. And so far, so good, it's worked out. I will communicate that when you get the decal, please make sure you stick it on your vessel's stern starboard side, similar to the mooring permit. And what it does is it allows our staff to go down, take a look at the vessel, it's just real quick with their eye. Before, we had to make sure that individuals were in compliance with contact information on a small orange decal that fades, and we have to go down there with a tape measure and measure the vessel. This has really helped us to be more efficient in our job, as well as it allows the town to utilize the space that we have.
Excellent. Anything else for 4th of July?
Let's make sure everyone's wearing a life jacket when they're on the water. That's kind of like my main thing in being safe. So
excellent. Thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you, Paula.
Giddy up, kids, wrangle up your bike and your mom and dad and head on down to the Hyannis Youth and Community Center for the Bike Rodeo on Saturday, June 22nd. All the fun starts at 11 a.m. Giddy up, little doggies, grab your bikes and maybe a helmet and head on down to HYCC for the Bike Rodeo. With me today, George Noonan, Program Director. This is one of our favorite events. It teaches safety, but it also is kind of fun for skills, too.
It's a cool little event because it's a little different than some of the other stuff we run. Like previously we had our father-daughter dance. We talk about our Easter egg hunt and the Halloween event. This is more about kind of safety and trying to get these kids outside and doing stuff and back on their bikes. Unfortunately, I'd say it's a skill that seems to be going away a little bit, and we really want to encourage kids to be out there on the bikes, and when they're out there, be safe. So if you don't have a helmet, it's okay, because if you come down the rodeo, we'll give you a helmet.
Hey, well, that's an incentive to get right down there anyways, right?
Absolutely, yep. And if you're someone who hasn't ridden your bike in a while, the wonderful people at Sea Sports, Jeff and Andy Craddock, will be down there, or they'll have some of their staff down there to check out the bikes, make sure they're working okay, maybe turn a couple screws, put a little grease in the chain, tighten up those brakes a little bit, whatever you might need. So that's kind of nice too.
And this event is sort of expanded a little bit into some other stuff. So Barnstable Police Department, Hyannis Fire are there as well?
Yep, Barnstable Police has always been a great partner. Brian Morrison, who's actually stationed out of our building now, he'll be down there helping me out with like the bike rodeo course, and just so we let the kids go off on the bike, and they have to obey traffic laws, stop at signs, make their signals so they know what's what. So that's awesome. Hyannis Fire likes to come down and visit and hang out and be with the kids. And they bring an ambulance down, and unfortunately sometimes they have to go because they're on duty as well, but they try to make an appearance always every year too, which is nice.
Right. And when we talk about kids being outdoors, Barnstable Recreation obviously has an enormous amount of programs for after school and Saturdays, but just a simple bike ride rather than sitting inside, what does that do for a kid?
I mean, a bike ride for a kid is like, it opens the world to them, to be honest with you. It's really because a bike ride could be so many different things, I remember when I was a kid and I used to ride my bike around my neighborhood in Katuitt, I always pretended it was like, the old show Chips. I thought it was like one of the and my buddies would be like, who are you chasing after and stuff like that. Right. And it becomes, they're games. It's a chance to use your imagination while getting some exercise and just go out and have fun and just see what's around you.
Right. And the safety of bicycles too, not all of our neighborhoods have sidewalks that these kids can ride on, but it also, this rodeo, when they go through that course, the course is not like super easy. They've got to really learn to do some things.
They have to maneuver. They have to be comfortable on their bike. They have to be willing to turn and stuff like that. And we'll be there to help them through it, but they still have to be willing to trust themselves and get used to moving that bike in through cones and like through a slalom kind of course, things like that. But they have to just be willing to kind of be safe and think about what they're doing and where they're doing it. We have a lot of quiet neighborhoods in this area. I know my neighborhood where we live is great for riding bikes. It's very quiet, very little traffic in it, but it's not always like that. So you always need to be aware. And even you have to sometimes be even more aware in the quiet ones, because then all of a sudden you're not expecting something and something happens.
Right. And the same thing with the bike rail trail and some of the bike trails is that you have to be cognizant of the fact that you do have to cross streets, that there's people coming up on your left or on your right, and knowing how to maneuver your bike to get out of the way or to move more quickly. Yeah,
we always talk about distracted drivers these days and ages, but we also have to worry about distracted riding, because a lot of people wear earphones when they're riding their bike, so you always have to be aware of what's going on around you.
Right. So they'll get a free helmet if they don't have one.
Yep.
And what time is this and when?
It is Saturday, June 22nd from 11 to 1, weather depending. Hopefully it's a beautiful, sunny, 75-degree day. Unfortunately, if it does rain, we don't have a makeup day for it. But 11 to 1 in the HYCC parking lot, different intersections of the parking lot, different stuff going on. We'll play a couple of the games with the kids. We'll have the world's slowest bike race where they have to ride their bike to a point without letting their feet hit the ground in the slowest time possible. Wow. Yep.
That builds balance.
It builds balance. It's also just something kind of fun to do. And then we'll also do the avoid the rock course, where we put a whole bunch of sponges down on the ground. The kids are supposed to avoid all the sponges, go through the whole course and not touch a sponge. So that's always fun too.
It's always fun too. So June 22nd, it's a low impact. It's only an hour or 2 hours out there. You can head to the, after t-ball practice, or head back to the beach afterwards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Come have lunch in Hyannis, go to breakfast and come to the rodeo. Then the rest of your day is yours. Go to the beach, whatever you need to do.
Excellent. Thanks so much, George.
My pleasure. Thank you.
A beloved brother is remembered for his love of community and his sense of humor. Bismore Park is named after Ralph Jerry Bismore, and his siblings Ginny and Joe recall some of their favorite memories of their brother.
Yes, he was on a B-26, like that one, only with just a single tail. And I have heard several different stories of how he died. I don't know which is actually the way he died, but it doesn't make any difference. He died in the plane. And I have been once down to the cemetery in Washington and visited his gravesite, and that was really an emotional experience. But he was really a saint. He was a remarkable, amazing lovely person, and as opposed to some of the rest of us who were gruff and not so nice. We'd get a letter once in a while, because that's about all the communications we had. The telephones were all busy with war business. And so occasionally we'd get a letter, and my mother and my sisters would send him a package with some cookies and stuff in it. I don't know if they ever got there or not, or if they did get there, they were probably gulped up by all of his friends, like it was when I was in the Army. I'd get a package and I'd have 2 cookies and the rest of them would just go to everybody else. But no, we didn't have much constant awareness of where he was, which is good, because, but anyway, like when he went over to Europe, I had no idea he was in Europe until we discovered that he was no longer with us. Well, we were a ragtag bunch because we were all very different. Jerry was life of the party. He was just, well, his smile lit up the room, and he was just funny and fun, and at the same time he was very serious, depending on what he was doing. Then he went roller skating at Mill Hill one time, and the gal in front of him tripped, and he went to jump over and he kicked her with his skate and broke her jaw. So he went to visit her in the hospital, and darn if they didn't get married. We were patriotic, we loved America, we loved Cape Cod, we loved the people on Cape Cod because they're friendly people. Whenever we'd get away from Cape Cod, we'd run into the brusque, well, like we'd go to Boston and people were not friendly and warm. And so we appreciated where we were. We appreciated the beauty of the place and the willingness to share among people.
Teeth were like, like some animals' teeth, and so they called him Jerry Muskrat. And then they gradually dropped it to just Jerry. Every time I reached for something on my plate to eat, it was gone. He had taken it. And I'd say, I just had a piece of bread and butter here. Where'd it go? But then I'd look on his plate. There it was. But he was a good jokester. He wasn't nasty. He was just fun. He always, when he was coming home from work at night, he was always whistling. If it was raining or snowing or what, he'd whistle. He had no hat on. He was whistling along. His hair was dripping red. He would. All I can say is I was so glad he was my brother. He worked in a drugstore, and in fact, he got his diploma to get to. And then about the time he got his diploma for it to be a degree, to get his degree, he had to go. He knew he was going to go in the service, so he enlisted. And it wasn't too long after that before he was killed. But he, as I say, he said to me, the day I saw him the last time we got together, he said, this is the best time of my life. And he said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life here. And now he had 6 more years. But that's the way it goes. And he had a lot of love for his country, too. And whenever a plane went to the airport, when it was just a dirt road, like, he'd run up there and see who it was. If it was somebody he knew famous, he'd be glad to greet them and all that. And if they weren't famous, he'd help trying to work and get famous. He was full of aircraft. But it's just so too bad that a plane had to be what took his life. But God has the plans, we don't. And when we got back, and I got the mail, and it was a letter saying that he had died, and I just dissolved into tears. And this girl took me up to her and said, "Jerry, she needs you down here." So he came down, and I was brokenhearted. So of course she couldn't say it to Jerry because he was there, but anyhow, he was there usually when we wanted him, and he was there when his wife needed him too. I do remember that it changed from Ocean Park, but I didn't know exactly how close the connection was. But I was very, very proud when it became Bismore Park. My brother's name is Bismore Park. My brother's name is Bismore, and it's named after my brother, and he was killed in World War II. And I'm very, 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 very proud of him. And not only for being that name, but just because who he was.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Art in the Village 2019 Festival is this weekend. Cape Cod Art Center is celebrating its 17th year in historic Barnstable Village. Kick off the summer art show season with Cape Cod Art Center's annual Art in the Village Festival, featuring artists, original works of art, and handmade goods, family fun, live music, auction items, and more. Art in the Village 2019 is Saturday and Sunday, June 22nd and 23rd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., rain or shine. Barnstable Village, Courthouse Green, free parking is available. More details and artist lineup at www.capecodartcenter.org. Comments, suggestions, accolades, connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works. For you, I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.